All right, so welcome everyone to our November 2025 Community Town Hall meeting. My name is Sarah Stell. I'm the Director of Communications. Throughout the meeting, I'm going to be putting a link in the chat for our sign-in form, so I will just be reminding you throughout the hour to complete that. Um, just a review of the structure for our town halls. We will be sharing a few different presentations this evening, and you are welcome to ask questions about the topics that we are sharing this evening. In between each one, we'll check in and see if there are any questions. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, so you can either put your questions there or you can raise your hand and then we'll have you come off mic if you would prefer to speak. But I'm going to toss it right over to our Assistant Director of Reporting and Compliance, Jaleesa Epps.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me
And
make
I
sure I
will
can
stop my
hear.
share.
All right. And let me start my share, see if this works for me. Okay, can you guys see the desktop?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jaleesa Epps, and I am the Assistant Director of Reporting and Compliance. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. And I'm really not going to take up too much of your time at all. Just wanted to take a moment to let our families know that there will be a survey posted in the upcoming newsletter, and I just wanted to encourage everyone to complete that survey. The survey is going to focus on the parent and family engagement policy and the school parent and family compact. The surveys have direct links to each of those policies that we want you to review and give us your feedback on. It's a short survey and shouldn't take any more than about 2 to 3 minutes to complete. And it's basically just asking you guys for your input on each of those policies. But if you come across a situation where you aren't able to access the policies through the links within the survey, or you would like to review the policies prior to the survey being released, you can find them on our website under the Academics tab, then the Federal Programs tab. They are also translated into several different languages. Our school level parent and family engagement policy focus on specific strategies and activities implemented within our school to involve our parents. And then the district level policy really focuses on the broader expectations and goals for the parent and family engagement within our school. And then the compact is more of like collective agreement amongst the school, the families and students, just stating all the things that we are all agreeing to in order to help our students be successful at our school. And if you complete the survey, you could be entered into a raffle to receive a $35 gift card from our school store just for completing the survey. So there's two different options tonight to receive a gift card. One is just for completing that sign-in sheet and attending this meeting. And then there will be an additional option to receive a gift card by completing this survey. So just take a few minutes to complete the survey. We would really appreciate your input. And that's all for me. I will go ahead, stop sharing, and pass it off to Rosemary or Dr. Hughes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So I'm excited to share a little bit of information with you about the academic standards that we cover with students across our classrooms. Tonight, I'll just be focusing on ELA, math, and science due to the limited amount of time. But our hope is that you walk away from here with some examples of ways that you can monitor and support your students' learning at home and some talking points to help you in your relationships with your students' teachers. So I just want to reinforce that the state of Pennsylvania outlines key knowledge, skills, and application of those knowledge and skills for each content area that education systems are required to cover, kindergarten through 12th grade. And what those standards offer is a way for us to kind of define what are the key things that students need to learn by the time they leave each of those grade levels. And so I just provided some hyperlinks to the state's outline of these academic standards. I'm going to put the link to this slide deck in here so that you can follow along with me. These links are here just for your own exploration outside of this conversation this evening. But there are some other links in here that I think would be helpful for you to use as you follow along. So in English language arts, if you click on the title of this slide, this will take you to just a one-page overview of the key learning activities that we facilitate in ELA across our continuum from kindergarten through 12th grade. What we focus on in English language arts across the grade levels is some key foundational skills. Really, these are focused on helping students learn their letters, the sounds of those letters in order to piece them together, to read words and then eventually larger text smoothly and fluently. From there, we move into reading comprehension, speaking and listening, and writing. And that one-page overview will give you a little bit of an understanding of what we cover in terms of foundational skills at each of those grade levels, what reading comprehension looks like and how it develops over time, as well as how speaking and listening and writing develop into more complex skills and text as students move up the grade levels. In math, again, if you click this link, it'll take you to a one-page overview that will kind of show the progression of skills across these four domains. So we cover numbers and operations, algebraic concepts, geometry, and measurement, data, and probability. And again, each of these skills becomes more complex and requires more critical thinking and problem solving of students as they move from kindergarten up through 12th grade. What I really want to reinforce in terms of as you're supporting your student in their math classes is we're really going beyond just like the computation. So yes, students are learning addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, but the standards that teachers are using in math classes are really focusing on deeper and more creative thinking as far as like applying those math skills to real world problems. And so in their math classes, you should be seeing students given an opportunity to make sense of problems and in particular, continue to try even when the work that they're being asked to complete is hard. So making sure that they're not giving up and that they're maintaining confidence in them, in their ability to do the math work. They should be thinking out loud about what they're learning and what they're thinking about in response to the math word problems that they're working through. Showing their thinking, talking with teachers and with each other about their thinking, using tools, learning to pay close attention to their work and check their work. And then looking for patterns in the concepts and the problems that they're covering in their classes. This link will take you to a resource that kind of shows you how each of these 8 mathematical standards might change from kindergarten to first grade to second grade, just to give you a little bit of a sense of what each of them would look like given the grade level that your student or students are currently enrolled. And then finally in science, last year you probably saw, for those of you that were with us, some of these shifts, but this year, all systems in the state of Pennsylvania are expected to be covering the SEAL standards. What that refers to is science. Within science, students learn knowledge and core concepts in earth and space science, life science, and physical science. They're also learning about technology and engineering, as well as environmental literacy and sustainability. And again, if you click on this link that's up here in the slide header, it'll show you how each of these domains grows from kindergarten through 12th grade. And just like math, the concepts that we're teaching and the skills that we're teaching are really important, but what's even more important is how we're teaching students to think about and interact with the knowledge and skills that they're developing. And so these science and engineering practices should be things that you're seeing in many of the science classes that you're observing. And you can ask students about the opportunities that they're being given to ask questions and define problems, develop and use models, plan and carry out investigations, analyze and interpret data, use their mathematical and conceptual thinking in solving scientific, wonderings and problems, constructing explanations and designing solutions to real world problems, engaging in arguments that are grounded in evidence, and obtaining and evaluating and communicating information. I think this might be one of the most helpful resources for families. If you click on this hyperlink, it will take you to a toolkit that the National Parent Teacher Association created for families. What I find most helpful is they break down some of the key focus areas in ELA and math by grade level. And so, for example, if you click on the grade level in which your student is enrolled, it will take you to a packet. Sorry that this is taking a couple. There we go. That will provide information that's specific to that grade level. A lot of this will be similar to those one-pagers that I drew your attention to when I was highlighting the links in the slide titles. But what I really appreciate about this is it gives you some conversation starters that you can use when you're interacting with your child's teacher for each of these subject areas. And I think it just gives a way to really focus those conversations and help you be better informed in monitoring and supporting your students' learning at home. And so I would encourage you to take a look at each of the documents that is directly relevant to the grade level or levels that your student or students are enrolled in. And then I finally want to close by making sure that those of you that have students who are enrolled in high school understand that in addition to the subject area standards that we're covering, what's also really important to monitor and support is your students' progress towards high school graduation requirements. And so this slide shows you the number of credits that students must earn in each of the subject areas that are required by the state of Pennsylvania. And within all of the courses that students are enrolled in at the high school, the typical grading scale is seen here. An A would be between 90 and 100. A B would be between 80 and 89. A C between 70 and 79. And a D between 60 and 69. And then anything below 60 would be considered an F. And so what you're really looking for is making sure that your students' grades are 60 or above in each of the courses that they're enrolled in at the high school. In addition to these credit requirements, the state of Pennsylvania also requires that students, in order to be eligible to graduate, demonstrate readiness for college and career. And so they have mapped 4 different pathways that students can follow in order to fulfill this additional requirement. Although there's 4 pathways, students only have to fulfill the requirements of one pathway. And so they could either fulfill the requirements of the Keystone Proficiency Pathway, which is probably the most efficient way to fulfill this expectation, because what this pathway requires is that students score proficient or advanced on all 3 of the Keystone exams. The Keystone Composite Pathway also relies on data from those state assessments, the Keystone exams. But what this allows for is for students to kind of combine their scores across each of those 3 exams. And as long as the total combined score is equal to or greater than 4,452, and none of their scores on the exams are below basic and at least one of them is proficient, then they could fulfill this additional requirement using the Keystone Composite Pathway. Um, I'm going to skip over here to the alternative assessment pathway and then close with the evidence-based pathway. The alternative assessment pathway would be a pathway where, as long as they pass Algebra 1, biology, and literature, which for us we call English 10, and obtain a minimum accepted score on any one of these college or workforce ready exams. So it's the ACTs, the SATs, the ASVAB, or AP exams. That this could qualify them as fulfilling the alternative assessment pathway. The final pathway is the evidence-based pathway. Again, in order to fulfill these requirements, students would have to pass Algebra 1, Biology, and English 10. But then we offer a course where, as long as students take post-secondary preparation and complete all of the required coursework, this will ensure that they fulfill the requirements for the evidence-based pathway, and it also ensures that they fulfill the requirements for the career education workforce standards that the state of Pennsylvania requires students to complete by the time they leave 11th grade. And so these are really important conversations to focus on with your student if they are in the high school program, because credits are important, but ensuring that they've also fulfilled one of these requirements is what combined allows them to be eligible for graduation once they complete 12th grade. And so I am going to stop sharing, and I think I'm passing it to Mr. Shipman. And he's going to show you how to monitor your child's performance in their courses in PowerSchool.
Thank you so much,
And
Dr. Rosemary.
sorry, Ron. While Ron is getting ready, there is a question, Dr. Hughes.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. So if the question about does this apply to children with an IEP, is that in reference to those pathways, the 4 pathways? Sorry, I didn't see when that was plugged in. If it's in, okay, thank you. So it depends. So there are ways that a student with an IEP could fulfill the requirements that are outlined in those pathways just based on their IEP. But for the most part, all students, including those with IEPs, have to complete one of those 4 pathways. But your student's case manager would be the best person to consult with around whether or not their IEP is designed in a way that it would take the place of one of those 4 pathway requirements.
All right.
Any other questions about that? If you think of them later, you can put them in the chat and we can come back to that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll take it over now. I'm going to share my screen, and this works directly with what Dr. Hughes was talking about and looking at your students' grades and attendance and everything from there, as well as the students to check in on their own. So let's get into Parent Portal. There we go. So it's a lot of stuff here. This slide will be shared out for you guys to have access to it, to take a look, to dive into it. Also, please feel free to ask questions and I'll come off and go through everything with you. So what's the purpose of Parent Portal? 1, for reviewing grades, attendance. You also will be receiving live notification. This is the best way to get in and see our students' demographics, grades, and attendance. I know some people get confused because we have Parent Square and then we have Parent Portal. Parent Square is for communication. We're going to send out information and send out posts and give you a breakdown on what's going on. Parent Portal is how you get into our system to see the grades and live attendance. Now, who is eligible? Only individuals with official rights to access students' records will be granted access within Parent Portal. That is identified when enrollment happens of who has access. Once we get those access, we get your email address. Please make sure that you have the most up-to-date email address with us. So that way, when we create your account, we're going to create your account with a temporary passcode. When you get in, you're going to have to go and change the passcode and keep the passcode for you. But if you have any issues, we got IT support here for you to walk you through it and help you with it as well. You can shoot us an email. We'll work with you and go from there. Now, the best thing about this, you can use it on a computer, you can use it on a tablet, or you can use it on a phone because there is an app that you can use to download. I always would advise to sign up and set up your account logging in on the website version first, then downloading the app. The key part about the app is one, it is on Google Play and is on Apple Store. So you can use it for Android or Apple. You're having trouble getting in the parent square, we'll definitely talk about that. I can have some time or reach out to you to work with you or have our team work out with you. I'm checking the chat as well. One of the major things about Parent Portal is you have to put in the school code. So if you do download the app for Parent Portal, again, this is for Parent Portal, you want to make sure that you put in the school code LTRR, and that will connect you to our district. So that way you can start signing in from there. Now, the website, it's very simple. We have it here at the top. We will make sure that you have access to it. The website is easy to get into. It is very similar. The students have the same website to log in, so that way they can check their grades and attendance and everything from there. But we're going to focus on you guys for right now because that's the main focus right here. So when you guys get your email, you want to log in, you want to go into the parent portal. Down here is where the students sign in. You're going to focus up here on the parent sign in. When you log in with the temporary passcode, it's going to force you to put the temporary passcode and your new passcode in here. Always remember to don't share your passcode. Keep it with you. Now, this is, I know it's a big view, but we're going to go into it. This is an overall view for everyone to be able to see all of the grades, all of the logins, and everything from there. Now, we're going to dive more deeper into that, but I want to get into just some easy parts of it. So, one, if you click on the PowerSchool logo, it will bring you back to the start page. If you want to navigate, you have multiple students that are enrolled with us and you want to go between which students and look at all of their information, there should be above the navigation. You should see here the names. You just click on those. You can switch between students. It doesn't matter which grade band they're in. They're in the system for you to have access to. And if you want to print anything, you definitely can. Breaking down the side navigation, as you can see, even up at the top, this is where you actually will click to change, but let's talk about the side navigations. So within this, you have a large number of different things that you can click on to go ahead and take a look at, from grade histories to email notifications to teacher comments, and class registration, which this is more for high school registration. We'll talk a little bit about that, as well as you can view your student schedule. Now, want to give everyone a heads up. When you're looking at the schedule, it is always the enrolled courses that they're in PowerSchool. It is not the full schedule. So that's why we're always pushing everyone to review the calendar in Schoology, because there may be more events that are happening in Schoology than is happening and showing in PowerSchool. But we do all of our calendar stuff and invites for every meeting and everything in Schoology. So again, Schoology will be the best place to look and understand where a student should be throughout the day. Now, logging out is simple. Sign out in the top right-hand corner, easy enough. Now let's get into the grades and attendance. For grades and attendance, we have a lot of information here. I'm not going to dive super deep, but it gives you the week attendance from each individual course, teachers' names in terms of who's teaching it. It gives you the current grade. And this is the great thing, and you're going to love about that when we dive more into it. You're able to see live grades. So when a teacher puts in a grade into the PowerSchool system and saves it and syncs it, you should be able to see it live within this screen here. So I do love that you have that available and that power within your hands. But you may want to get more information. So you can actually click on the actual grade and see the details of the grade, the assignments, and how it was graded. You can also do the same thing for attendance. So you can actually click on the attendance values to see those individual attendance dates and what the attendance codes are. Grade history. Your child has been with us for a couple years. We do have the grade history in here. Now, again, this goes back to when we started with PowerSchool. So all of our information from PowerSchool is in here. But if you need official reports, you can definitely, official report card, you can definitely reach out to our operations and records team. We can get you that information whenever you need it. Now, attendance views. I love the attendance views because it is live, as I said before. From the big screen, and I kind of broke it apart for you guys to make it a little bit easier to understand. On the far right-hand side, you have the absences. Whenever you see a number that is in blue, it is clickable. It is a clickable link. When you click at it, so let's just say I clicked on this one for this student here, you can get an actual date-by-date breakdown of when they were absent for those individual courses, or you can do it for the whole day. And what are the attendance codes? What does that mean? We have it broken down here to give you a breakdown of what the attendance codes are. So like for AE, it is absent excused. Okay, so you can get a better understanding. And let's just say, you know what? I don't have this slide. I have no idea where I can figure out where these codes are. Well, we got a legend down at the bottom of the screen when you're in the platform as well. So you don't need the slide to understand the codes. We have it there for you within the platform. Now, attendance history, we can give you the full attendance history. There's two different kind of attendance that you should be able to see. One is meeting. That is when students are meeting in their individual classes. And again, it could be one class that they're meeting depending on the grade level, or it could be multiple classes. Then that's when the daily is an overall breakdown of their overall attendance for all of their classes combined. Now, there are different kind of views for K-5 and 6 through 12. So I want to kind of just talk about that and talk about some of the resources within these views. So within the view right here for a K-5 student, and you're looking at their screen, you are able to see their attendance by class, their current grades, and their attendance by the day. You can click on anything that is generally in blue. Now, for K-5, we don't use traditional grades. We use standards. So you have the option of clicking on standards grade. So this is very, very key. If you have a student that is in kindergarten to fifth grade and you're trying to review their grades and you want to look at their standards to check out, hey, how are they doing with this particular class, with this particular standards? This is where you're going to go into, you want to click the tab for standards grades. Once you click on that, you will get a breakdown of their courses. All you need to do is click on the ones with an arrow that should have an actual grade, and then you will be able to see what the standards are and how they were graded from there. And if you're not sure what the standards codes are, we have it here, but there is a legend that is there and available for you also. Now, viewing grades for 6 to 12, it is literally the same view, but it's a little bit different information. So again, you will have the same view of attendance by class, current grades, and attendance by day. And you also get, oh, hold on, let me go away. Where did it go? There we go. Thank you. So within this, you still get the attendance by each day. You still get the current grades and the attendance by day, and you can still click on everything, but you do not need to click on standards grades. You can just see their traditional grades from this view, so that way you can see everything. You do not need to click on standards. Again, this is for 6th to 12th grade. You do not need to click on standards to see the grades. You can just click on it right here. Now, comments. We do have teacher comments. This will only show at the end of a quarter when we store teacher comments for report card purposes. So if you go in and you see, hey, there is no comments in here, you may need to change your reporting term to quarter 1, or we just haven't given comments for quarter 2 if you're looking for quarter 2. Now, you get a lot of notifications. We know that. We send you a lot of stuff to keep you informed, and we want to keep you informed. But you have control also with Parent Portal. You can adjust your notifications. So within the notification screen, you can go in and you can adjust if you want notifications for every time we update grades and attendance, or if you want any school announcements, or you can even control how often are you getting emails with the updates. So you can update this, you can adjust it. It doesn't bother us on our end. This is the control you have to receive all the information that you need from us. Now, let's just say you're in it and you need to change your passcode. You have the ability to change your passcode. You can change it at any time that you want. Just make sure that you know what your passcode is. And if you need to go back and change it, you do not need to send us a message to change it. But let's say you have an issue. We're here for you. If you need to change your email, what we need you to do is you need to put it in with student records so that way it can be updated in PowerSchool, and then we can update everything within Parent Portal. Again, PowerSchool is our student information system. Everything starts there, and then it goes to our other sites like Parent Portal. Now, you're lost. I totally lost you. You have no idea. You need help. we're here. We're here for you. You need help with email address updates, phone numbers, adding students, adding a legal guardian, you can email student records. We will do that with you. If you need to change your physical address, which is very key, especially with a lot of things that are going on, we want to make sure that we have all your information. Please update it here. If you are experiencing issues, email us. We have a dedicated team that is here to work with you and your students. So whatever needs that you need, we're here to help you for our tech. And we have an amazing family tech support page that gives you guides for everything you need. So that is our parent portal. You will have access to it. Thank you, Sarah Stell, for putting that in the chat. It is an amazing resource, our family tech support page. If you have any questions, feel free. Send me a message in here, and I'll reach out to you, and our team will reach out. But if there's no questions, I would like to pass it to our amazing Tony Grande. I will stop sharing.
Good evening, everybody. And boy, what a tough group to follow, all the entire group of presenters tonight. I am excited to go through some of my pieces. Slides coming through okay. We seeing some slides. Thumbs up, dig it. Okay. So thank you everybody for being here. Families, staff, it's always exciting to be able to kind of present some of this information. So tonight I'm just going to talk through a kind of brief review of our multi-tiered systems of support or MTSS program. My name is Tony Grande. I'm the Director of Assessment and Evaluation here at Insight PA. So real quick, just our agenda. I'll have an introduction and kind of walk through some of the major pieces of our MTSS model, talk about the components of support and what that means. I will then shift and talk a little bit about our diamond model and gifted identification. And then, as always, sort of similar process to all of our presenters, I like to leave the opportunity at the end for chat. If needed, I will have my contact information. You can always follow up with me there as well. But let's dive right in. So briefly, I want to talk about just kind of what MTSS is and kind of how we're utilizing it here. So really, multi-tiered systems of support is a framework to help identify student needs. Particularly for us, that means with possibly needing support with attendance, social emotional learning, and or academics, particularly math and ELA. So we kind of look at learning as a spectrum, so a continuum of learning. So what it really emphasizes, I think a lot what Dr. Hughes shared earlier, one of the biggest things is, we focus first on our core content and the teachers and what they're providing to kiddos day in and day out. We're then like assessing and monitoring throughout the year to see how students are gaining that information. Might they need additional support, and how can we provide additional support for them? So traditionally, a tiered model of support has 3 tiers. One is kind of what everybody gets that instruction. Then students who might need targeted intervention would be tier 2, and maybe students who need a little bit more supports or intensive interventions would be tier 3. So we have this wonderful visual here, but the big thing I like to point out there again is that learning is a continuum, and that we're kind of assessing what students might need, what skills we might be able to develop, what their strengths are. All of this kind of comes together to kind of build our model of how we're supporting students. And for our MTSS program, one of the big things we focus on is kind of this little, I pointed to it, you guys can't see me point. I'll use my mouse, this circle here. So one of the big things that's really important is academic skill development learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It encompasses a lot of pieces to be able to continue to learn and grow. So while we love focusing and building our students' academic skills and what they need there, we really look at first students coming and engaging with that material and our ability to help support students, families, whatever they might need, with first coming to school, getting access to those teachers, that quality instruction, and then also looking at what we call the self, or social emotional learning and functional behaviors. These kind of put together for us really put out a model of what a student who is, experiencing success would typically evidence. So we're seeing, consistent attendance, we're supporting these SEL or the self pieces, and then of course our academic skills, and students are getting access to those. So, kind of continuing along that line, MTSS is for all students. All students K to 12 at Insight PA are on our continuum of support, or they might be tier one for courses. They might get some additional interventions or supports, which you would be notified by, but all students are in our tiered model. So it's available to all students K through 12. We have these three components which we really focus on, which again are attendance, social emotional learning and functional behaviors, and academics. We complete screenings, particularly for social emotional learning and academics in the fall, in the winter, and the spring. We always send out parent square and information to families about, a screener that is upcoming, letting you know, letting students know kind of what the schedule will look like. And also, then, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We also have a page on the website that really breaks down what we use for screening. It has some helpful videos, it has some additional information on there. But we, again, complete these screenings 3 times a year: fall, winter, spring. Those are what we call our benchmarking periods. And then develop to support areas most associated with success in school and beyond. So I really always stress that the design of this, it's not just doing well in school, as important as that is. It's about building young students, young people, preparing them for the world beyond school. So what we're doing is really focusing on the skills that are really associated with continued success in school and beyond. So we like to say we have 3 I's of MTSS here. And this is, I think, really a way that I really like to share with whether it's staff, families, the way I kind of think of it as well, is really looking at if you're thinking of MTSS, it's got all these, we got data, we got information, all these complex things. But when it really comes down to it, it's really 3 things. We want to identify where students' skill development are on those 3, components or those 3 areas. We want to intervene for those students if necessary. What level of intervention is depending on that information we have, but we just want to provide support, whether that be enrichment, whether that be, continued support in a particular subskill of a reading or mathematics, but always then looking to intervene. And then we're really looking to inspect how is, as the support we're providing, how is the student engaging with this, like with our interventions and supports? Are they being successful? What can we do to help support the student and the family? So that's really, in a nutshell, kind of what our MTSS model is really looking at. We identify, we intervene, and then we inspect to see how it's going, and then make adjustments as needed. Diamonds. So you'll see a lot with MTSS. We talk a lot about shapes with schools. Obviously, with school, we love shapes in general. But one thing that we're really excited about, particularly this year, is we have a gifted program at Insight PA. So last year marked the beginning of a law that all cyber charters had to institute a gifted program. This was something we were already kind of working on behind the scenes, but then when they announced that, we started kind of looking forward. So, essentially what this diamond is, and I'll explain it, I'll show it to everybody, but it's really furthering the idea of a continuum of support. But we're really excited. We finally have a gifted program for students here at Insight PA. So why a diamond? Why are we excited about having a diamond model? So, the specific reasons that we're looking for this change or this kind of, adoption of this model is really 3 things. And I'll show on the next slide exactly what it looks like. But it expands the focus of support to really focus on learning as a continuum. We constantly are learning, and you think of school, learning is very complex. Any of these things we're talking about, whether it's reading, mathematics, writing, there's a lot that goes into learning these. There's a lot of sub-skill development that goes into each of these pieces. And so it really occurs on a continuum. So that's really why this is a huge focus. Some students are going to have amazing strengths, and some students are going to have areas of continuing development. And we all have that. That's part of, how all of us learn. We all have areas of strength and areas of continuing development. So The other thing I'll note is the Pennsylvania Department of Education is putting out guidance on shifting to this diamond model of MTSS. So we're really excited for that. And then, again, the gifted requirement. It's a requirement for all cybercharters to have this anyway. We're excited to have it just because we always want to have that full continuum, full opportunity to support all students. But that's certainly the major reason. And what I really pull up here is what this diamond looks like. So from a student being identified as mentally gifted, maybe receiving enrichment or support, our tier one, which is our core foundational instruction, and then moving all the way up from tier two. Tier three, these are again those kind of more and more intensive interventions. Then you might have a student, depending on process, consider an evaluation for special education or specially designed instruction. But the big thing here is again that idea of learning occurs across this map, across this shape here. So it's really this continuum, and this is why we're really excited to be pushing this out this year. So we will have gifted, but then another thing that we're really excited about is the opportunity to offer enrichment to students. So you don't have to have the label of gifted, mentally gifted to receive enrichment and learning. And that's something that our school is really proud of as we've kind of been building that into the learning and the curriculum and the opportunities there. I won't read this at you, but just kind of building off that idea of, there's enrichment, which is just the opportunity. If you have a student who really understands, really learning a particular subject, a particular skill, we want to be able to provide additional opportunities for them. Mentally gifted is like it's a legal process that requires an evaluation and those things, which we understand, and is kind of has laws and pieces around it. But students, if they evidence that need for maybe additional types of content or information, we can always provide enrichment as well. So we're really excited about that opportunity. Closing out here and talking about giftedness, the nice thing is we're going to be implementing a 3-level screening process for the identification of gifted. So, of course, families, if you're ever suspecting that or have questions, we have school psychologists on staff. You have me. I love talking to families. I love talking about gifted. I might talk to you too long about it. You might be like, I don't want to know all of this, but um, I can always walk you through what those processes might look like if you're suspecting that, have questions on it. But we're instituting a multiple level screening process to, again, try to find students that maybe evidence the need for gifted supports or a gifted identification. But the nice thing there is that really follows along a lot with our screenings that we're already doing. There will be a page coming up on the website that'll walk you through exactly what these multiple steps are. I didn't want to take all of the time tonight, but again, if you ever have questions on that, please reach out. I love chatting about it. But the basic formula is we screen all students would be part of this. It's already built into the process. So you think of the screenings we're already doing, so they're not having to do additional work. Then you would be notified if we're continuing down this process. There would be a referral and a possible evaluation for mentally gifted. I talked a lot at everybody and I talked a lot of different information. My contact information is here. I can also put it in the chat. I know sometimes parents, guardians might have questions, for a student. Sometimes it's easier for me to follow up outside this space, do a little research and follow up. Of course, I always hang back. I love to chat about this, but I wanted to leave my contact information so you will have that if you think of questions later on or anything like that. I was unable to see the chat, so if there were any wonderful questions, I was unable to see it, so I will check now. That's all for me.
Thank you. All right. So, I see there is a question, I believe, about the gifted program, but I'm not sure I understand the question. So, I'd like to invite anyone who has questions about this either to use the chat or if you would like to come on the mic and explain your question, or ask your question verbally, you may do that as well. And while we hold to allow space for questions, I'm going to put the link for the sign-in form in the chat one more time. Please make sure that you are completing that. That is for staff and parent guardian attendees. And then I just have two final things to share with everybody. So, two reminders from our community engagement side of things. One is that we have created a new Facebook group called the Insight PA Family Connection. This group is for parents and guardians to connect with each other. The link to join is there on the slide. It has also been in our recent newsletters. And if you missed any of those newsletters, you can go on our website. We have the newsletters all linked there on the website. And just a reminder to continue to check Parent Square to see all of the events that are coming up in your area and use Parent Square to sign up for those events. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to your community engagement coordinator. You should be in a Parent Square group that they have added you to based on your region. Our next town hall will be in January, so keep an eye on our newsletters and social media to see when that exact date will be and what our topics will be for that evening. I want to take another peek at the chat. All right. Thank you, Tony, for answering that one. So that is the end of our agenda for the evening. I will leave the room open for another minute or two and just keep an eye on for any additional questions, but you are welcome to hop out if you don't have any questions. Thank you again for being here with us this evening. The Facebook group is called the Insight PA Family Connection. The link is on the slides that will be shared, and you can also go to our most recent newsletters, and the link is in there. Let me actually pull up a newsletter link with more information. All right. Let's see. I'm going to share the link to our October newsletter, which has more information about the Facebook group. And thank you, Tony. Tony is going to stay behind and explain a little bit more about the gifted program. But if you don't have questions about the gifted program, you are welcome to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Am I good to hop on and just start briefly chatting through it a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Ron, I just want to, do you see the question about the laptop? Thank you.
So, just for a little additional clarification, so enrichment and all of those things are something we can offer to any student. For a student to be identified as mentally gifted, there has to actually be an evaluation, which you would be notified and kind of walk through each step. It would involve individual intelligence testing, um, all of those kind of pieces. I'm sorry, Sarah, was that for me? The
Nope,
refer?
nope.
Okay, sorry. Not all students would be provided gifted support, but it's part of our continuum of support if students evidence the need for the identification of mentally gifted. So there's a number of things that we provide through that if students are determined eligible. It's really individual, so the students would receive what's called a Gifted Individual Education Program or a GIEP. And they would have instruction modified to meet their needs above and beyond what might be typically offered in the general education content. So that's really the biggest thing there. So your student would not receive it without us specifically evaluating for mentally gifted, and then being identified as mentally gifted, and see you signing off and agreeing, and we would have a team meeting about that. So that's not something that's universal. I'm sorry, I probably didn't explain that well enough before, so that's my fault. That is a separate process that requires a full evaluation and those kind of things, which you would be notified of each step of the way.
Sorry. Hi. I just want to make sure I have a correct understanding. So there's a
Absolutely.
difference between being gifted and highly advanced, correct?
Yes. Great question. A student can be advanced, and that might be like that enrichment piece we were talking about before, but they might not be identified as mentally gifted. If a student is identified as gifted, you would be notified, A, that we would be evaluating, and then you would have to agree to the evaluation and agree to kind of going along with each step of the process. Parents and guardians are highly involved with an evaluation for giftedness. Thank you for that question.
Um, I see a question. Oh, thank you, Dr. Hughes. All right. Any final questions about our presentations this evening? All right. Thank you again for joining us this evening. It was so great to have you. We really appreciate your involvement. Wait, I see.
I have, sorry. Um, I have the wrong email down in my at the school for Parent Square and everything, and I'm gonna fix it tomorrow. But when I just joined, I joined with the email it's supposed to be for the Facebook.
Oh, okay, okay. So, we'll take a look at your request and just kind of make a note that if that it's going to be changed when we look it up in our
Okay.
system. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, Brianna.
A question on the gifted program. How would I go about doing that for my oldest son? He's in sixth grade. Would I have to reach out to you guys to go about doing that, or would you guys reach out to me, or um
That's a great question. If you suspect a kiddo might be gifted and you kind of want to explore that, I will put my contact information in the chat. Um, if you want to reach out to me, I can let's see. Make sure I'm messaging to the whole group. You can email or call me here, and I can get you in touch with like the next steps for what that would be. Like it would involve an evaluation and all of those pieces, but I can also put you in touch with the school psychologists that conduct the evaluations and those things. Great question.
All right. We are going to end the meeting here. Thank you all for joining us. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll be uploading this recording to our YouTube channel later this week.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.